Once the storyboards were approved, it was time to build. And Mega Bloks sent me a crazy amount of product specifically for the project. And I had to open all of them up. They were all wrapped in bubble wrap. And I specifically asked that it would be helpful if some of these, or all of these, mostly all of these, were pre-constructed, because then I could go right to the animating phase. The biggest problem in time with stop motion was building the sets, and then they sent lots of raw blocks in large bins, and I used that to create all of the original sets from scratch, because I am not a fan of CGI. Anybody that watches my stuff knows that. My thought process going into the project was to make everything very, very real. Build as much of it in with real Mega Bloks as possible, and then shoot as much of it in the camera as possible. So that was the whole premise. Now, it took a long time to do that because we had to build roads. And I say I kind of conscripted my brother, my buddy Mike, Ryan, Rick. We all worked on building individual little parts of the puzzle, and then I was able to use the buildings and move them around. I mean, I asked for very, very large buildings, because what happened is in the storyboards, I drew this large base, right? It was sort of like a half C, like a circle with a guard tower up top and gates that would open. And I drew it out very specifically, and this was for the story. I wouldn't have drawn it unless it would work into the story. So Mega Bloks actually constructed this thing. This is crazy. They sent it to me, and I was not anticipating that the model would be to scale. The model's actually to scale of their little Mega Bloks figures and all the Halo toys. So when I got the thing, I was sort of overwhelmed because it was so big, and my brother and I had to carry it up the back stairs, and it was so heavy. But once we got it set up, it was amazing to see it all created there. And I had two choices. I could either put a plain green screen behind the thing and do the whole city in the computer and green screen, but I knew that wouldn't really look good. I wanted to make real buildings for the background as much as possible. We sat here for days building real Mega Bloks buildings from the ground up, and they were almost like 3 feet high. So they go all the way to the ceiling on my ping pong table that I animated with. And the reason for that is I wanted to layer them in the background for specific scenes so that you could tower them up and make large panning shots and wide angle shots that would display all of the really cool city. Because we were going for a new Mombasa feel from Halo 2 and Halo ODST. Now, I think some of the buildings reflect that. We had a couple good ones, and some of them don't. Some of them are sort of like, well, that's a building, that works. So it was kind of a hit and miss. We tried our best with what we had, and I think it came out okay. I think we pulled it out of a steep dive in the end. The buildings looked really cool. All the buildings were created, and I had this massive scale set up all on a ping pong table. That's what I had to work with. That's what I've been working with for all my animations, and I just remove the sets. Sometimes I just turn it sideways and you shoot it from a different angle, or I use two cameras at the same time and shoot it so that you get multiple action shots. And there's all kinds of little tricks and ways to do that, and you'll see a lot of those tricks in the upcoming Brick Filming Friday episodes.
Cooper Studios.